Hello, we are from Group 3. We'll present our material about page makeup, front page and editorial page. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ruth SIREGAR and my partner is YUSRIANI. We are from class 5A. Okay, next. The first is what the meaning of newspaper makeup. Newspaper makeup is defined as the design of a newspaper page or the manner in which picture, headlines, and news stories are arranged on a page. The objective of newspaper makeup is as follows: to indicate the importance of the news, to make the page easy to read, to make the page attractive. An extreme variegated makeup of a newspaper page featuring a profusion of size and kinds of attention, catching headlines, cuts, and boxes in unbalanced array. It consists the arrangement of illustration, text, and graphic on a page, which is to be printed, including the selection of font, styles, size, and colors. Laying out of page is a matter of personal taste. There are no criteria set for it. Therefore, the staff may experiment freely on page makeup until they get the pattern acceptable to them. Layout does so much good to newspaper because it gives prominence to the news in proportion to its importance. It makes the page appear attractive. It gives the paper a personality or individuality of its own. It makes the different contents easy to find and read. The next is boxes for picture, arrows for text, and lines for length are among the symbols used in layouting. The next, we can see conceptual model of a layout. Conceptual model of an excellent layout from Fatal Ferro 2003. In their unity, balance, expanses, contrast, and proportion. The next, some of the factors of wrong position which sometimes editor do. Factor of a good layout, we can see, is proportion. Proportion deals with the ratio one part to another and of the parts to the wall. Example, pictures must be sized properly to keep up with other shapes on the page. Unity. Unity or harmony. It is content of every page or double page must blend as a harmonious unit. No one part of the page should overshadow another. The headlines should complement each other and the pictures should not distract the eyes too much from the tape. The next is balance. A feeling of equality in weight suggests the gravitational equilibrium of a single unit or a space arranged with respect to an axis or a fulcrum. Next is emphasis. Gives proper importance to the parts and to the whole. It involves the differentiation between the more important and the less important. Example, news or article must be displayed according to importance. The news value of every story must determine to what page it should find print, its position on the page, and the style and size of its headline. Next is contrast. Contrasting adjacent headlines will help emphasize the importance of each other. Next is factors that harm a layout. The first is thumb stunning. Placing two or more headlines and approximately the same leveling adjacent columns, especially if they are of the same point of tips. Next is bed breaks. Breaking stories to the top of columns. The top of every column should have a headline or a cut. Next is separating related stories and picture. Next, gray erase or sea of gray. Use fillers instead. Okay, next is screaming headline. Scream headline is one that is too big for a short or unimportant story. Next is heavy tops. Don't make the page too heavy. Next is fit them all. Avoid many headlines of the same size on a page. Next is placing small, hence or rather long story. The next we can see example of newsletter tip for elementary. Next is example for broadsheet newspaper. Broadsheet newspaper have large headlines. They use simple fonts which don't look quite as interesting. Also, there's lots of writing on the front page. It's kind of as if it's a page that's inside the newspaper. Also, they don't really have much color on the front page. It's basically just black and white, although there are some bits of color. Broadsheets look more formal and have much more formal fonts. Next, we can see example of tabloid tip for secondary. Tabloid newspapers. Tabloid newspapers have big bold headlines and large image. There's also very little other writing in if any. They also have plenty of colors in them which make them very appealing and really grab your attention. They also tend to have lots of different interesting fonts to make each separate part stand out. Also, they're not normal generic fonts, which quite boring. Okay, this is all of my presentation. Next will be present by my partner YUSRIANI. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is YUSRIANI. I am from class 5A with NPM 1863-11008. We are from group 3. I will explain about pack makeup. Slide 13, showing front facts of different newspaper. It means that here we can see many examples of image display makeup in the newspaper. Slide 14, mock-up of newspaper front. At first, advertisement. Second, masjid. Third, advertisement. In the advertisement, there is a section image, backlit, advertisement. In the masjid, there is a section main heading, main article. In the main article, there is a section main image, main article. In the advertisement, there is a section backlit and advertisement. Slide 15. Front fact of a newspaper. The front fact is a newspaper front door. It's the first thing a reader sees, the story that appear. There are ones that will be told about all day. What makes a front fact story? Important news, of course, about decision the president has made, wars that have broken out, our plans that have crashed. But editors, the people who run newspaper, want a mixed stories. A good front fact might also include article about a come from behind sport factory, a medical breakthrough, or an ordinary person who has done something extraordinary, what's known as a human interest story. It can be concluded that the most important things that reader will see in the newspaper is the front fact display because there is a title of them to be discussed. Slide 16. Each page of a newspaper has a focal point, a point of the page to which the reader normally looks for the most important story. Any area can be the final point depending on the closing design. Advertisement can also dictate the focal points of the inside page of a newspaper. On the front page of some daily newspaper, the focal point is often in the upper right hand corner, a noun that practice that reflect the style bygone era. Through the use of banner headlines that extend more than half the width of the page, readers were trying to seek the upper right hand corner of the front page. It means that the newspaper page must contain a focal point so that it is easy to find the most important points. Slide 17. The right hand focal point is not as important to make up editor as in the past, since fewer newspapers use banner headlines on the lead story. However, many newspapers still carry the most important story in the upper right hand corner of the front page because of established practice. Today, a large percent of newspaper editors use the upper left hand corner as the focal point. Does editor think that readers trained in school to read other literature from left to right prefer their newspaper to be designed that way too? A few editors still use other areas such as the upper center of the front page as the focal point. Only time will tell which is best, if indeed there is a best. Slide 18. In the picture has some parts of the image is at first most hit, second headline, third menu, fourth website, 5 jump line, 6 article, 8 photo, 9 caption. Then slide 19. Image of editorial page is in a different newspaper. It means image of editorial page in a different newspaper. Type of editorial content in newspaper. Example like corruption this week. Slide 20. Editorial page of a newspaper. The editorial page is on place in the newspaper where opinion is not only permissible but encouraged. The editorial page is dominated by comment and analysis rather than objective reporting of factual information. Here, the opinions of the newspaper editorial board are put forth in editorial. Some newspapers identify the author of each editorial. Author do not. Opinions of newspaper staff members and outside correspondent appears in byline columns usually located on the facing page, which is called the op-ed page. The op-ed page also contain analysis and background piece. It means comment and opinions are published in the editorial page. Slide 21. Make up of the editorial page. A typical editorial page consists of the following. At first, editorial or talk written by individuals. Editorial reflect the corporate opinion of the newspaper. The viewpoints expressed is the result of consensus among the editorial board members. Second, letter to the editor. Third, editor cartoon. Fourth, column. 5, byline pieces by newspaper staff or some newspaper divided this material between an editorial page and the op-ed page. Slide 22. Types of editorial. For purposes of study, items that appear or dash to page can be placed for classification. First, argument and persuasion. Second, information and interpretation. Third, commendation. Fourth, entertainment. And then slide last purpose of the editorial page. The editorial page provides a forum for the opinions of reader and editorial staff in order to provoke talk and discussion. Second, influence public official. Third, suggest a course of action. Fourth, provide background and analysis event. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.